I think my interest started as a very young child. I grew up as the first generation of Norwegians in the suburb. Moved in Oslo, my parents, but all these suburbs are on the borders to the woods. And my mother grew up without the mother, so she said to me, "You have to do it yourself." So I did everything with fabric and making clothing for my dolls and so on. And she said, "You will make it. Go ahead, cut the fabric, and play outside as long as you want." So despite I was a girl, she said, "You should go into the sand kasse." I don't know what it is in English.
Sandbox?
Yeah. You should step into it, and you should play as long as you can, because you will soon be an adult and a grown-up, she said. And because of the woods, I had 2 friends close by, so we used the woods. So we entered the woods, and we made cabins and fires and climbed and had great fun, ran wild in a way. And I think my mother was never afraid of us. So that's where it started, my interest for outdoor activities, outdoor play, outdoor skiing, and things like that. And I was also doing dance and the choreography. So that was another part of this creativity with the body. So this has been my 2 main interests all the way. So I also was in competitive sport, doing the aesthetic sports. But
What is aesthetic sport?
At that time, it was rhythmical gymnastics.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
But it was the choreography that attached me. So when I also had a very strong experience as a child. We were lucky to go to an outdoor center for a week in the mountains called Leirskole, and I was the lucky child. When we were on the glacier, I happened to be the one that fell down to a crevasse because one of the kids behind me stepped on the rope, and so that made it was very, very exciting. I can still feel the excitement of of being special. Yeah. And so when I entered teacher education in 1973, reform pedagogy was on the agenda. And specifically in physical education, it was in dance and in outdoor education. So this became it was my home in a way. Yeah. So I continued from that, and when I entered the University of Sport to study sport more specifically after teacher education, I met a more traditional way of sport instruction, teacher guided learning, and then I decided I have to read everything I can, which is alternative pedagogy, before I enter and become a formal teacher. But at that time, the first study programs in outdoor education started at this University of Sport, and I entered the course with the pioneering great men leading this. And then they were also inspired by an alternative philosophy of teaching, so they searched out for more supervisory ways of teaching, problem solving. So in a way it has followed my career. It has been natural. Not really natural, but you understand, maybe. Thing. I think for me it was when I had started to teach, and I moved from Oslo to the very far north of Norway. Adventure, and that was I wanted to explore nature, and inspired by the green movement, we wanted to live a more simple life, more close to nature. So I moved to the 70th latitude. And bought lots of maps, and I wanted to teach there. And when I started to teach, I had the culture with me from the urban areas. You are not allowed to break any branches or and so on. And then I realized when I had a break in my teaching, the students, they cut down some trees and made fire. And this was very shocking for me. It was a very different way of approaching nature. So that started a very challenging way of teaching, because I met a very different culture.
Mm-hmm.
A culture which was based on living with and off the land. And then people needed to make fire to keep them warm and so on. And in this area there are something like 1.6 person per square kilometer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's subarctic area, so it's 8-9 months of winter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very different attitude to nature, and that became a challenge.
Yeah.
So later on, 20 years later, I made a PhD on this. It started with this very moment that was very challenging.
Wow.
I didn't know how to handle it.
So what's been the best part of it for you?
The best part? Yeah, that's maybe just the well-being of being outdoors, being together with other people, seeing happy faces, having a good time together, and feeling that you can trust your own body and your own skills and what you have available, actually, and you will manage the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I think that's
wonderful.
And not being afraid or just being there.
So what attracted you to come here? And
curiosity, I think. That was the main reason for going, curiosity, and also I really wanted to learn about more about the concept experiential learning from within a North American perspective. We do have a different concept in Norway, which is erfaring, and which is linked to the German tradition, erfaring. And so we have two concepts that is covered by experience. It's erfaring og opplevelse. And this is also some
where does friluftsliv?
And friluftsliv is actually part of culture. So it was not